Hey, what's up, Kremlin Nation?
What is up? It's our first.
Yes, we are excited to bring you our first video podcast.
It's a VODCAST.
Yeah, so you'll be seeing it
Apparently.
on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. Hopefully soon
Instagram.
Hopefully soon we will be on Spotify and like Apple Music and all that good stuff once we figure out how to do that, because I don't know how to do that yet.
Y'all should subscribe to YouTube.
Yep. I actually just
Is that a good
control
advertisement?
Cody with a button, and then whenever I hit that button, he just says,
You should subscribe to YouTube. Like that. Like,
yeah. So, the name of our podcast, The Sweet Life of Chasing Cody.
yes.
It's been a name we've been thinking about changing to,
Correct.
but we want to keep the Kremlins, so we were like, hey, let's start something that we can bring in that name because it's an awesome name. If you don't know,
It is.
Zach and Cody.
Then
Disney
don't
Channel
watch this
show.
podcast.
Yeah.
VODCAST.
We're not going to be talking about that today, though.
It's a video podcast.
Oh, good lord.
You have a lot
So-
of editing to do.
I'm not editing any of this. This is a podcast. This is 100%
Real.
uncut
Alright.
Disney Kremlin.
Perfect.
It's the Kremlin.
It's the Gremlins.
It's the-
Oh, you already messed up our name.
Yeah, I know.
So what is the first talking point of the sweet life of Chasing Cody's podcast or podcast?
First talking point is just going to be about, first off, our podcast. What all we're going to be talking about. Also, just our new name change. It's the Kremlins and what that means for us. So, if y'all don't know and are new to this, we used to be Disney Kremlins, kind of exclusively just did Disney related stuff. Now we're going to branch off from that. We live in Texas. It's kind of hard to be posting Disney stuff 24/7, and also costs a lot of money.
Yes. But on the flip side, we're still going to be going to Disney a lot.
Yes.
I think the main thing was, for those that don't know, we both got engaged in 2019.
Yes.
We both are getting married in 2020. Thank you. But
I think they say thank you, and then you say,
why would they say
appreciate
thank you to we're being
"Oh
engaged?
yeah, that's true." Well,
They
what
would
do
say
Congrats. Oh, they just
congratulations,
say
and then
thank-
I would say
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is the content you get from the sweet life of Chasing Cody. But I think the main thing. I don't remember what I was saying. What were we saying? What were we talking about?
You were talking about something about 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, I think the main thing is in 2020 we realized that we weren't going to be taking as many Disney trips, just because unfortunately I do have a limited number of vacation days at work, and with a honeymoon and a trip to Costa Rica already planned for me and Bailey, and your honeymoon planned for yourself and Sasha. We didn't know for sure when we would be getting back down to Disney. We are for sure going to Disney multiple times this year.
Speaking of that, let's dive into, because I don't think we've released it anywhere yet, our
Okay.
next trip.
Perfect.
We want to talk about it.
So our next trip is going to be, drum roll please,
I'll put it.
joy to the world. It is going to be to Disney. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be to Universal.
Okay.
Universal is how I'm going to call it. And it's going to be for an event that many of you are familiar with. We actually did it a couple years ago, I believe. And that is for the Orlando Informer event in Universal. And I can't wait to go out and cover it. We're blessed to have the opportunity to go out there. We're actually going to be staying out there as well. We may or may not have a quick trip to Epcot planned to check out Festival of the Arts. But it's going to be a quick weekend trip. We fly in on a Friday. We're going to go to the Orlando Informer event on Friday night, shoot over to Epcot Saturday morning, shoot back over to Universal for the Orlando Informer Saturday night event, and then head home on Sunday afternoon. So it's going to be a very quick trip, but we're super excited and super stoked to bring you new content from Universal, because we've already done things like Horror Nights. We've done the Orlando Informer a couple years ago. But I'm super excited about this event.
And I love Orlando Informer because, for one, we don't go to Universal that often. So, if we get a paid chance to go to Universal, we're obviously going to take it up.
Right.
So not only that,
And for the record, we aren't getting paid to go. We are getting hooked up with tickets
and
a room. So that is awesome. But we aren't getting paid to go. We're just getting hooked up with tickets.
Getting an opportunity to go for Universal for free,
Sure.
obviously gonna hit that up.
Real quick though, the more you subscribe, comment, and like our stuff,
That's true.
the faster we get paid and can bring you more of this mediocre content.
That's true. So, one thing I like about Orlando Informer is, unlike a majority of Disney parties, you actually have free food and drinks within the whole park.
And at Disney parties, you do get stuff like popcorn,
and ice cream,
or like the Christmas party, you get like cookies and stuff.
When you load up on a bunch of ice cream and then ride Everest 2 times in a row, which I did that a couple trips ago, it doesn't make for a good time.
But at Orlando Informer, just like you were about to say, we do get all food.
Mm-hmm.
All food is covered in the event. And do you remember what you had last time? I don't really remember. I know that you wanted to have the barbecue and we ended up not doing that.
We ate at the Jurassic place, right?
You're right. At the place outside Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Which wasn't open last time we went, was it?
Correct, because I believe it was under construction.
Yes. So we're going to be able
We're going to
do
freshen
that.
up on Universal stuff before we go.
Yeah,
probably.
we're going to do that and Hagrid's probably.
Yes,
I would assume we're doing Hagrid's.
Hagrid's is definitely what I'm most excited for, especially because the last Orlando Informer event we went to, it's literally no lines. Like literally everything we did was a walk on. Mm-hmm. So if we get the opportunity to do that for Hagrid's, like how can you pass that up?
Yeah. So excited to bring you content already from a non-Disney property or venue. So that's one of the reasons why we changed our name, so we could be doing stuff like this. And we're so excited to be invited by Universal Studios. You know, I'm still not used to getting emails from people, you know, like that work at Universal Studios or that work at the NBA. And I'm just like, how did we get here? But it's because of y'all we got here.
And we may have gotten an email from someone at Disney, so just keep your eyes out for that.
Okay. So, speaking of Universal, you can't talk about Universal without talking about Harry Potter, right?
That's what I'm told.
One thing that I'm looking forward to the most is that, so I haven't seen any of the Harry Potter movies.
I've seen all of them, so I can bring some kind of knowledge.
In 2019, last year, I took a study abroad trip to the UK as well as France, and there's so many things there based
Hang on, do you remember
off Harry Potter?
The Office episode where Michael's like, "Yeah, my company's sending me abroad. It's to Canada."
Oh yeah. That's
Sorry,
good.
I'm gonna make as many Office references on the Sweet Life on Deck or whatever we're called.
That's the show.
The Sweet Life
of Chase and Cody.
in the batter's box. Oh,
this was your idea. Huh?
Yeah, the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or Sweet Life of Chase and Cody. But yes, so you took a trip abroad to Europe,
and we did a couple we did a Harry Potter walking tour. We toured a couple of castles that were based off of Harry Potter, the places in Harry Potter are based off those real life places.
Sure.
So I'm excited to see if I see anything familiar, stuff like that. But speaking of my study abroad trip, we're going to talk about 2019. 2019 was an insanely crazy year.
Especially from when did you take your abroad trip, your study abroad trip?
I took that in May.
So from May to December.
Yeah.
What a crazy 7 months that was.
So what was one of your favorite things from 2019 that we did?
So obviously my favorite thing, especially with my fiance being in the room as we filmed this, was getting engaged at Disney.
Yes.
And I actually knew from our first trip together kind of where I wanted to do it. And everything worked out perfect. I couldn't have asked for.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous at all asking her to marry me. I was more nervous about everything working out perfectly. Okay. And
that's fair because you were nervous. That is for sure.
Right. And I like, as soon as I saw, so it's hard to put this in terms without seeing the video, but if you are subscribed to us and you watch the video, you can kind of see the angles that Wesley and Chase had when filming or taking pictures. So when I saw them and Bailey didn't, and I saw they were in a good position, and I knew that the sunset timing was perfect, that was when I got super excited, because I knew that, okay, everything that I had worked for to make this perfect to this point was happening.
Looking back on it, I wish me and Wesley would have filmed something of us like setting up for it, because me and Wesley were legitimately like hiding in bushes outside the Polynesian, and then once I saw, so we were like kind of like looking through bushes, and we saw them come up, and once Cody gets down in Disney, I'm like, Wesley, no, and we like jump out the bushes and take pictures, and Wesley's just a wizard on video, so he got a lot of awesome angles. And by the way, shout out to him for that awesome video. Wesley's a really good friend, really good at what he does. So
I will say this about Wesley: I know a lot of Instagrammers, and we know a lot of just content creators in general, whether it be YouTube, Instagram. There's Disney Facebookers out there that we've met. We've met a lot of people who do what we do as far as content creation. Wesley at Disney Parktography, if you're not following him on Instagram, follow him, is by far the most dedicated to his craft. He's the most like he's the biggest perfectionist at doing it, and he puts the most time in of anyone I've ever met.
Oh yeah.
When we say he's in the parks every day, we literally mean he's in the parks every day.
And we know that because he's linked to our My Disney Experience. And I always say we have a fast pass for like something every single day.
And he will literally open a park up, go ride Rise of the Resistance, get crazy morning shots at Hollywood Studios, and then be at Magic Kingdom closing that night because there was a rainstorm that came through and he wants puddle shots. Like,
that happened on that.
And he probably somehow set up and shot a 2-hour time lapse of a sunset coming in. Like, he's so dedicated to what he does, and the video was amazing, and can't thank him enough for all that. And he this may be a little insider information, doing the video for my wedding. So that may or may not already be confirmed. So I'm sure there will be at least clips from that shared on the YouTube and on the Instagram. So can't wait to share that and see the work that he does with that.
Yeah, so shout out to Wesley. Going back to 2019.
So what was your favorite?
My favorite thing, obviously getting engaged. I was super nervous leading up to it.
I was nervous leading up to it.
Epcot.
Can I tell a funny story about that?
Yes.
Or were you going to tell it?
About you?
Yeah.
About you getting off of Rise of the Resistance?
No, about me getting the picture at the wrong place.
About mine. Yeah, so we went in planning, okay, I'm going to get my picture in Japan by the Red Arches with Spaceship Earth in the background. So we're walking our way around World Showcase, and Cody stops in China. And so the plan was, I was going to take his and Bailey's picture, and then they're going to take, Cody's going to take mine and Sasha's. Sasha's going to turn around, look at Spaceship Earth. I'm going to pull the ring out of my pocket. So we stopped in China, and I was like, Cody's like, all right, is here good? I'm like, wait, you want a picture? And he's like, well, yeah. I was like, okay. And so I take a picture of him and Bailey in China, and then he's just kind of like, all right, you ready? I'm like, what? And then he's like, are you going to do it? I was like, dude, that's in Japan. This is China. And he's like, no, you told me Japan. I was like, I know I told you Japan. This isn't Japan. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
And I was so confused all day. Yeah. Like, I talked to Bailey literally for like the 3 or 4 hours that we knew leading up to it. And I was like, I don't know what Chase is thinking. There's not a good place to take pictures of him getting engaged in the China pavilion. And I told her multiple times, the China pavilion, knowing good and well that you had told me the Japan pavilion. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But we ended up saving it. We took several other pictures, and I don't think Sasha knows.
Everything worked out great.
Yep.
And then other than my engagement, definitely the NBA experience at Disney World. getting able to just interview pretty well-known NBA players. It's not like these are like bench guys that the NBA couldn't get anyone to go to. Like Mike Conley and Aaron Gordon are like, they're not like they're top tier or like Hall of Famers, but
they're still stars in the league, well-known, established stars in the league. So
like just being able to interview them and like have to pretend in front of these like NBA people who are surrounded by media people 24/7, having to pretend that I'm a qualified media person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how I did it because like my legs were shaking so bad when I was interviewing them.
So let me tell a funny story about that. So I'll preface this with I do high school football broadcasting for the high school that we both went to. I've been doing it for years. So I have a lot of experience as far as radio goes and interviewing coaches, athletes, players, whatever. I also work for a company that deals with pro athletes. So I've met numerous pro athletes, over the years. So I wasn't nervous at all to do any of the interviewing. But in my head, how I thought it was going to play out was Chase was going to interview Aaron Gordon. And then when we got to Mike Conley, I was going to interview him. Mm-hmm. But we got to Mike Conley, and I realized that I was like 5 inches taller than Mike Conley. And I was like, Chase should just interview him too. Because what should have happened is I should have interviewed Aaron Gordon. Yes. You should have interviewed Mike Conley. But I wanted you to get the experience with Aaron Gordon in case we didn't get to interview someone else. Then we got to Mike Conley. I was like, yeah, Chase, you're going to have to do this again because I tower over him. Yeah. Like, I think he's listed as like 6'2" or 6'3", and there's no chance that that's his actual height.
And speaking of which, like, looking back on it, like, Aaron Gordon was like, all right. You could tell Aaron Gordon was like, didn't want to be there.
Sure.
Whereas Mike Conley, like, we literally walked up on him playing, like, a game with his kids. And, like, he turned around, he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do an interview. And just smiling the whole time and, like, laughing through our interview. Whereas Aaron Gordon's kind of just like...
Right, which I will say, too, like, Aaron Gordon was so super cool. Not as cool as Mike Conley. Like, Mike Conley was, like, all about it. Like, you could tell Mike Conley was just so excited to be there with his family. But at the same time, I have dealt with athletes that have no desire to talk to me. And Aaron Gordon definitely wasn't that. He just wasn't over the over the moon ecstatic like Mike Conley.
It's just something I enjoyed because it's like seeing like people that so many people look up to, like them enjoying just like playing like a arcade thing with their kid. It's just like they enjoy the same simple things we do. So other than your engagement, what was something from 2019 that like you enjoyed doing? We probably won't get the chance to do.
So I'm going to say two different things.
Okay. I know what one is.
What?
One's going to be Horror Nights.
That's not going to be it, actually.
Never mind. I lied.
And it's actually, I think, neither one of these things are really things we're never going to do again. Okay. I don't think. Mm-hmm. Maybe, to be determined on one. But honestly, like, one of the things that I really loved about 2019 is that this is the first year. Like, we had met a bunch of y'all. Like, a lot of y'all have been day one followers, day one Kremlin Nation members. Like the Mouselets, Rachel and Tally. Like, a bunch of y'all out there. JoJo, we've known him since basically he started his YouTube channel. So there's a bunch of people out there that we've known over the years and we've got to meet. I would say that we got to meet them before, but I would say now it's like it's weird because I think we're actually friends with them. And that being Scott and Emily from Oh Yeah Disney, and Tim Tracker, which is crazy to think that we're friends with those people now. We've hung out with Scott and Emily at Horror Nights. That was an awesome experience. And now I message Scott about like different camera stuff and like his knowledge of camera stuff is just like my knowledge of camera stuff is like good enough to talk to like a normal person about camera stuff, but like Scott is like so like up ahead of the curve on his knowledge of camera stuff, and he's so talented in everything that he does. And then Tim Tracker, like he's what started Disney vlogging, right? Like he's a game changer for everything. And congrats to him and Jen Tracker on their new beautiful baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, getting to hang out with Tim Tracker at the NBA Experience, and then again at D23, and getting to hang out with Scott and Emily at D23, and then again getting to do horror nights with them was pretty great.
It's crazy.
So while we're on that, the other thing, aside from all the friends that we've made, is getting to do D23 for the first time. It was definitely an eye-opening experience. Yes. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, and boy, what an eye-opening experience it was.
Yeah, that was like, it's funny because I was so much more overwhelmed at D23 than I was at the NBA Experience, and I was hanging out with like professional basketball players.
No, 100%.
But D23 is just a monster of its own. Yeah. And like we talked about it then on our video, like I'm sure there's people out there that went to D23 and was just like, it was too much out of their comfort zone, didn't want to be around that many people, or, didn't want to get up early to do any of the stuff. And I will say, much like, kind of Disney World in general, it's going to be what you make it.
Right, 100%. Yeah. Like, I think that if you're watching this and you're a Disney regular, anytime you go to Disney, you're going to run into those families that are stressed, families maybe it's their first trip and they don't know their way around the park, as well as we do. It was kind of like that. Like, there were some people there that were clearly overwhelmed. To be honest, we were overwhelmed also. But like Chase said, I think it was just one of those things that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And if you go in determined to have a good time and check out all the cool stuff, then that's what you're going to get out of it. So, that was fun. It was kind of crazy to see people literally camping out like in tents, literally outside of the
sidewalk
event center. Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm just like, man, these people are dedicated.
Yeah.
So 2019 was an amazing year. So let's talk about 2020.
Yes.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. So we were filming this Sunday night. Probably gonna post this Monday. So we did NBA Experience. We're planning on hopefully working with the NBA for more future events. Obviously tragic news in the NBA community. Kobe Bryant, as well as his daughter, passed away today in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I sent out a tweet about it, and made a long Facebook post for him. But Kobe, being a sports fan, comes with a lot of emotions. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to be a dedicated sports fan. It doesn't make sense to them. And I get it, because when you think about it, like cheering for other grown men playing sports, like
playing sports ball,
playing the sports ball. But obviously we've grown up as huge sports fans. Kobe Bryant being in the league ever since I could remember. When he retired, it was the first time that I had the experience of being able to say, wow, I watched this guy play for his entire career. And I grew up on Kobe Bryant being in the NBA, and being, in my opinion, a top 5 player to ever do it. Hustling on both sides of the floor, just overall such a great player. And such tragic news to come out. We've had athletes pass away in my lifetime across all sports, but I don't think that I've ever had the experience of a player of the caliber of Kobe Bryant, and I don't know that the world has ever had that experience of a player of that caliber.
So young, away.
Right, at such a young age.
And so you found out the news first, and you immediately called me, and I was out getting food. So obviously I wasn't on Twitter, and I was just like, what? There's no way this is happening.
Yeah.
And it just hit me like a truck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? because usually it's like you hear someone famous dies, and it's like you have no personal connection with them,
Right.
or emotional connection with them. So you're like, man, that sucks. But it's part of life. But like for some reason, Kobe's just hit me like on a deeper level. And I was sitting there thinking when I got home, like, man, why am I like reacting the way I am? And I think it's because. So growing up, I was able to see a couple years of Kobe in his prime, and then the older Kobe.
Right.
So I remember watching him. I remember where I was at. I was in Jones Hall when I watched his 60-point final game ever. Watching it with my roommate, and I'm just like, man, like why was this hitting me so hard? And I think it's because. Unlike any other athlete, Kobe Bryant, like, when in a way I wasn't even knowing, kind of showed everyone, not just me, but like anyone, any fan in general, Kobe kind of showed how to be a good competitor and how to have an insane work ethic. And I think, because now you hear a lot in sports and how it's like, well, if you work hard, you can achieve it. And I feel like that wasn't really a thing until Kobe Bryant came around.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear guys talk about, first one in the gym, last one out, like that was Kobe. And he was one of those players that he didn't want to beat you. He wanted to beat you by 50. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to put up 60 on you. He wanted to put 81 up on you. And that was just the kind of competitor he was. And you see it, I was telling Bailey, talking to Bailey about it. And I remember, and I'm sure you probably do too, towards the end of his career when he ruptured his Achilles. And for those that have, for one, if you haven't seen the video, go watch it. But if you don't know how serious a ruptured Achilles injury is, it's basically you can't walk.
Yeah.
Like, no, literally you can't walk. Like a Dallas Maverick player tore his Achilles like last week and literally had to be carried off the court.
And
he tore his Achilles.
People were saying he's done.
Yeah, well,
like after the game ended, once they found out, they were like, Kobe's done.
Do you remember when he tore his Achilles? It was on a foul. He got up, walked to the free throw line, made his free throws, and walked off.
Yeah. And after that, it was like people were speculating that was the end of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, and he could have ended right there. Yeah. He would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody would have thought any less or any more of Kobe. But to come back and to put together the final few seasons of his career are just unbelievable. And then to put up 60 on his final game of his career is just, it's one of those moments in sports where you look back and say, yeah, he was one of the greats.
Yeah. And, he's just he's just someone that, like, you don't realize, like, he's a role model until something like this happens.
Yeah, and I think Mark Cuban said it best. Mark Cuban came out, right before we started filming this and said that the Dallas Mavericks are retiring number 24, that no Maverick will ever wear that number again. And in that statement that he released, he said that Kobe Bryant transcends basketball, and he does. Because, I think people outside of the sports world know who Kobe is. I think that all of us growing up at some point, like, whether it be on a real goal or, wadding up a piece of paper and throwing it in a trash can, have always hit it, held their pose, and yelled Kobe. And, I was talking to Bailey about that. She grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, and that's what kids did there. And that's what kids did in the town we grew up in, 5 hours away in Texas. And all of this was before social media. And to think about, like, Kobe meant so much to people's lives that I don't think that they realized until today, and how much he transcended the sport of basketball. It wasn't just about basketball. It was about how much he meant to so many people and the role model that he was. And to have, his daughter in the helicopter with him is just absolutely tragic. And prayers go out to his family and his wife Vanessa. And I told Chase, for the company I work for, he's a exclusive athlete for us, and he's one of our spokesmen for our company. And unfortunately, I never had the chance to meet him. But tomorrow was going to be a really weird day at work, because as soon as you walk in at work, there's a TV to the left, and it's Kobe Bryant welcoming you to our building. And it's just going to be a real somber day at work tomorrow.
Yeah. So, hate to end the podcast on a somber note.
So we'll end it on a bright note. And
so, just appreciate Kobe for all the things he did, for the role model that he was. And it's just another one of those instances where, you have to appreciate the people around you while you have them.
Yeah,
I'm getting kind of deep, and I wasn't expecting this for the sweet life of
Chasing Cody. I can promise you this will probably be the deepest podcast that we have. At least I hope it is, because I can't take many more athletes passing away on me like this. Real quick, before we end, I do want to end on a bright note. For those that have stuck with us through this 30-minute long pod/vodcast, I do want to say thank you for being with us. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. We appreciate it so much. It gets frustrating sometimes when you look up and you only have 30 views on a video, or whatever. But, that's 30 views that we didn't have before. And we want to thank you, all of you, sincerely, for being with Kremlin Nation. To the ones that comment on every video, to the ones that comment on every Instagram post. We love y'all. Y'all mean so much to us. Y'all are why we do this. And even if we get 10 views on every video, or 1 view on every video, we're still going to be here bringing you content all the time, because this is what we love to do. We don't do this as a job. We do this as a lot of fun. So we hope that y'all have fun watching us, and y'all engage with us. We will engage back. All that being said, be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. That's it. Yeah. That's all 6. So follow us on all 6 of those. We're going to have a podcast channel up.
It's the Kremlins, the same on every social media
all
across.
It's the Kremlins on all social media platforms. And we have mentioned this before, but I'm going ahead and announcing it today. We very soon are going to have a huge merchandising announcement.
Yes.
So I think that's fair to come out and say right now. So we're going to have a huge merchandising announcement. We may even have a website. So I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss it. We have some amazing things lined up. So we really hope that y'all check us out and keep an eye out for that and buy our stuff. Because the more you buy, the more money we make and the more content we can bring to you. Just being honest.
Very good way of putting it. So that's all we have for you from this week of the sweet life of Chasing Cody. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode than upcoming weeks, just because we're filming it pretty late at night, because that's when we're available, but we're still getting it done. So be on the lookout for every Monday, the sweet life of Chasing Cody on YouTube, the whole videos on YouTube. We'll be sharing clips on other social media platforms, and be looking for us on Spotify and Apple Music. We'll give y'all more contact stuff, more information on that stuff as we figure that out this upcoming week.
Lit.
But anyways, until next week, guys, we had fun.
We did have fun.
Sitting down and talking with y'all at our table.
Also, leave comments on things that you want us to talk about in the future.
Yeah.
Because this is the best thing about being a small channel, is that we're a small channel, so if you comment on stuff, we will talk about it next week.
We're small enough on YouTube to where you could basically just say, do a video on this, and we'll do a video on this.
And we will literally do a video on it.
But we're also big enough on Instagram to where you're like, oh, I'm pretty cool with these semi-famous people.
So it's like we're famous in one part of the world, and nobody knows us in another, so you can be our only friend over here.
Yeah. It's a win-win situation.
It is a win-win.
But anyways, guys, we're excited for everything we have coming in the upcoming month or two. So again, just be looking for more videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on YouTube and Facebook. Instagram, we're going to be posting content every day. So make sure you're subbed on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of that content. Like us, comment what you want to see from us. Like us on Facebook, all that stuff. Until next time, guys.
Quaharini.
Don't forget to always represent.